Hello, friends. Happy Thursday. Windy here. Do you find yourself agreeing to things just to avoid conflict, even if it means stretching yourself too thin? I know I've done that. I still sometimes struggle with that. So it's time to talk about boundaries. Today, we're going to you will learn how to set clear boundaries and, even more importantly, how to maintain them so you can live a healthier, more balanced life. If you are new to my world, haven't seen me live before, I am Sandy and I am your self discovery coach. Little story. When my first husband decided he didn't want to be married anymore, and what he said to me was that I no longer needed him. And that hit me hard. And what I realized at that point was that I had been living my life based on what others, including him, expected of me. And I did that for a very long time. That moment was a turning point for me, leading me to my journey, my own journey of self discovery. Now it's my passion to help women just like you who are experiencing what I like to call their second spring um, reclaim your soul and live authentically. So today we're going to focus on setting and maintaining boundaries, which is a crucial skill for personal empowerment and self-care, and ties in quite nicely to last week's conversation about people pleasing. So if you didn't catch that, I'll put the link in the comments so you can watch that one as well. So, why is setting boundaries so important? Honestly, it's essential for your mental health and for healthy relationships. It Boundaries help define your personal space, both physically and emotionally. It also protects your well-being. Without boundaries, you might find yourself overwhelmed, resentful, or even feeling like you're being taken advantage of. Think of a time when someone crossed your boundaries, whether they realized it or not, whether you had verbally set those boundaries or not. Think of a time when someone crossed your boundaries. And then I invite you to think about how did that make you feel and what were the consequences? You might even take some time and journal about that. Because noticing that and recognizing that is a first step, honestly. Okay, so the first one was the importance of boundaries. Number two is how do we set those boundaries? Setting boundaries involves clear and assertive communication. And I know when you're struggling with self confidence, that assertive communication can be a challenge. So here are some practical tips for you. So, first off, being clear and direct. It's clearly stating what your needs and limits are without ambiguity. It's being very clear. Here's an example. I can't take that extra project on right now, but I can help you next week. So you're standing strong in not taking it on right now and saying, but then you're also saying, I can do it next week. And if you can't, I mean, obviously don't say that, but that's just an example of being clear and direct. Okay. The second thing in setting boundaries is to use I statements. And I used to coach people on this all the time, and still do. But when I was in HR, it was really critical. Focusing on your feelings and needs rather than on blaming others. Here's what happens when you start saying, "Well, you did this or you did that," their wall goes up. Think about when somebody has done that to you. Your wall goes up. But if you state it in an I, use an I statement, for example, I feel overwhelmed when I have too many tasks. I need to prioritize my workload. Nobody can take that away from you because those are your feelings and they're valid. So that's what I mean by using I statements. Putting that, you're putting it back on yourself. You're saying, you're being direct and saying what you need. Okay, the next thing in how to set those boundaries is to stay firm but respectful. Stand by your boundaries without being aggressive, respecting others' boundaries as well. So really noticing and speaking up for yourself, using your voice with confidence. And then the fourth thing is to practice self compassion. It's okay to prioritize your needs. Think about if a friend came to you and asked you for advice on a similar situation, what would you tell them? Treat yourself like your own best friend. And I think I said that last week as well. It's okay to prioritize your needs and don't feel guilty for saying no or setting limits. And just like I said last week, no is a complete sentence. I recently had a conversation with a friend who was being pushed to do something that she wasn't comfortable with, and she kept saying no. She stood firm. I mean, she had a reaction after, but she kept saying no. And the person wasn't listening, but she kept saying no. And somebody else later told her that they were observing it and they observed the change in her body language because she kept being pushed, and even though she kept saying no. So stand strong and be firm and don't feel guilty about it. So think about what are some areas in your life where you need to establish stronger boundaries. Think about it in terms of work, relationships, personal time, and just right now, think about what those could be. Okay, number three, you've realized the importance, set the boundaries. How do you maintain them? Once you've set those boundaries, and it's crucial that you maintain them consistently. So here's some strategies to help you with that. So the first is consistent reinforcement. Regularly remind yourself and others, there's the key, and others of your boundaries. Consistency helps others understand and respect your limits. Number two is deal with the pushback. Expect some resistance when you first start to set boundaries because if you haven't set any, you are going to get pushback. So expect it. Stay calm and assertive, not aggressive, and reiterate your limits. The third is self reflection. Regularly assess how your boundaries are working for you. Adjust them where you need to, and don't be afraid to refine them as your needs evolve. And the fourth is to seek support. Talk to a trusted friend, a coach, a therapist about your boundaries. They can provide support and accountability. And a lot of times, talking to that outside, uninvolved third party that doesn't have the emotional attachment to it can help you see things a little more clearly. So, my suggestion for you on that is to think about in advance. Think about what challenges do you anticipate in maintaining your boundaries and think about in advance how you might address them. And then, even use that trusted friend or coach or whoever to, run it by and share your thoughts. Put them in the comments. I'd be happy to, comment on that and help you with that. So, but thinking about them and thinking in advance how you will address it, because you're going to get challenges. If you have those in advance, then you don't have that moment of panic of, oh crap, they're challenging me. What now? What do I do? And then you give in and you do it. And by the way, friends, if that happens, don't beat yourself up. It's tomorrow's another day. It's another opportunity to be able to practice. Practice is what it's all about. Practice, anytime you're doing something for the first time or you're new at it, it's going to take practice. So, what are the key takeaways for today? Number one is that boundaries are not just a sign of healthy self esteem, but they're necessary for your emotional well being and interpersonal relationships. Takeaway number two: setting boundaries is about clear communication and respect, not only for yourself, but for others. The more you respect yourself and others, the more they'll respect you back. And number three, maintaining boundaries requires consistency and the courage to uphold your values even when you feel pressure. That courage is important. Feel free to reach out with any questions, put them in the comments. I can't see comments while I'm doing the video, but I always go back to the comments to review and be able to respond. I'm here to help you navigate all of this. And if you're ready to dive a little deeper and reclaim your power, I invite you to purchase my latest course on overcoming people pleasing. I uh, introduced it last week when I did my live on people pleasing. I'll put the link in the comments. They're very closely tied together. You get to do it on your time frame at your pace. They're very short modules and you can do them when it's right for you. So you don't have to put aside a whole big block of time. You can do them in little pieces, and my courses are designed specifically for that reason. So, and again, I'll put the link in the comments. So remember, setting and maintaining boundaries is truly, truly about honoring your own needs and space, empowering yourself to engage with others more authentically and respectfully. And also remember, embracing your own limits is a form of self respect, and it's an invitation to others to understand and appreciate the real you. Thank you so much for joining me today. I do look forward to hearing about your progress. Please, please share them in the comments. And next week, I'm going to be sharing with you about pendulum dowsing and how that can be used to help you in this journey. One of the tools that I have in my toolbox to be able to do my coaching and help you all. So I look forward to hearing about your progress, and I will see you all next week. Ciao.